Business has the power to transform lives. When leaders grow, companies thrive, creating opportunities for employees, families, and communities. Through practical guidance, proven frameworks, and real-world experience, we help business owners build organizations that are scalable, valuable, and sustainable. Welcome to the David Cohen Show.
Good morning, guys. Welcome to the David Cohen Show. Today, I have a special guest here with me. His name is Sean Shapiro, and we are going to get to know everything about Sean and his amazing entrepreneurial journey. Just incredible, incredible story, incredible human, and someone who I admire and look up to and just have a tremendous amount of respect for. So, Sean, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Yes, sir.
And I look forward to digging in and really getting some insights out there. So tell us a little bit about Sean Shapiro.
Yeah, well, first, I'm so excited to be here with you, David. Obviously, we go way, way back, and we'll get into that. And just full circle, being able to be a part of first episode with you and support the business as much as I can, and obviously share some insights. I think we've both been through wars in the home service space and the construction space. So I'm really excited just to give some background and just some cool stories, I think, that people would love to hear. So just excited to be here today, and I'll give some background. Come from the home service space, had a roofing company here in Jacksonville that my partner and I founded in 2015. Really trying to focus on just being a white glove, customer experience focused brand, more than anything. Really wanted to tote ourselves as the Publix or the Chick-fil-A of roofing. That's kind of what we sold ourselves on. Full circle, we sold it to private equity about 6 years on the dot in 2021. So kind of like that COVID boom, kind of took an exit. And really just kind of full circle from there. Did some M&A work in the trades. Really wanted to give back and help other guys find an exit for their business. And as of a few months ago, started another construction company.
Let's go.
Yeah, so we're doing fencing now. So, just try to find another market that we feel like we could kind of raise the bar in, just like we did with the roofing play. So Fortera Fencing here in Northeast Florida with big expansion plans. So more than anything, just really seek out to raise the bar in the industry. And I know that you did the same with Cohen Outdoors, and, just really trying to really focus on culture, right? More than anything. And I think it's something that's really important in business, is just making sure that you have the right culture developed internally, and you'll attract the right external business for yourself. So I'm excited to be here today.
Dude, man, like your journey, I know that was a really short, 15-year. But Reliant Roofing really exploded. I mean, when you want to talk about scaling a business, what you and your team achieved in a very short amount of time was just outstanding to see. I remember, of course, I was growing my business. We were growing our business at the same time.
For sure.
And everybody I would see, like, I always see your trucks. And I always thought that same way about you.
Yeah.
It's like every time I get on the road, there's a Reliant Roofing truck. And I'm just like, man, Sean and the boys are killing it over there.
Yeah.
And, what I really specialize as far as the culture goes, and I think that we have a lot of alignment in that. Tell us a little bit maybe about some things that you and your partners did, and your as far as growing that and bringing in the right people. What were some things that other service owners can do to try to
just level
bring
up.
in and level up to achieve that. So what was some of the secret sauce, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, I think what Cam and I figured out very early on, the very earliest moments at Reliant, was we were trying to figure out how to solve the labor gap, right? So we were selling a product, we were selling this high level experience, but then we were going to this subcontractor here to do the installs for us. That same sub was doing installs for 10 different roofing contractors here in town. And for that sub to be able to do a high level expert install that we were selling to our clients, it was almost impossible because they were doing it 10 different ways for 10 different roofing contractors. So we quickly realized culture kind of starts with just making sure that what you're selling is what you actually produce. And I think a lot of guys in our industry don't realize that there is a huge disconnect in what they're telling someone they're going to do versus actually what they're going to do.
So true.
When the actual widget is being done, right? So the service is being done. So I think what we saw early was that we need to go out and we need to create our own talent, whether that was admin staff or installation crew. So we wanted to go out and find just good people and create SOPs, training modules, give them the resources to become an expert at whatever we were doing, which obviously was roofing at the time. But at the core, they were just all really great people. So most of our people, outside of the installation crews, we can talk about kind of the background of our core people. We had a teacher. We had numerous teachers actually that were trying to get out of education because there just wasn't enough money there, but they were educators at heart. They loved giving back. They loved helping. Those were like really core people to a roofing company, right? So like when they got on the phone with homeowners gravitated towards them because how positive and uplifting and how focused they were on just helping more than anything. So like we found people from all different lines of work that were not construction related. They had no background in construction, which set ourselves up for there's no bad habits coming into the company. There's no, well, Sean and Cam just launched this company. They don't know anything about anything. I have 20 years of construction experience doing it not best practice ways, but I have all this experience and I'm not going to listen to them. So I think a lot of it was just trying to find people that wanted to buy into something bigger and give them the expert tools to become real experts in the industry, right? And at their core, just really good values and principles more than anything. So that was, I think, was the secret sauce. And that's the same thing that we're doing at Fortera. At its core, it's very simple to think about, but I just think people miss the boat because they're trying to skip ahead and say, I just got to get guys that can go out today and start doing it and that already have experience, where we kind of were like, let's grow it slower, but find the right people.
Dude, that is such valuable advice for any entrepreneur out there. And I talk to up-and-coming entrepreneurs all the time. And one of the things that I consistently hear back is, I can't find the right help.
Yeah.
It's like everybody thinks that they have to find someone who knows their trade.
Yeah.
And I think it's the biggest crutch because you're leaving so much talent on the table, because if you have the right clarity of vision and you have the right structure and the framework to build the systems and processes, you need someone who's smart enough that can follow the systems and processes and not overthink the work, right?
Right.
Like the field labor knows how to do the job. Like, you're not going to hire a guy to get on a roof who's never been on a roof.
Right.
But I think from a leadership perspective and a management perspective, a lot of company owners make the mistake of trying to find someone who's been in their trade and they think that they're bringing more value because they have that experience.
Agreed.
And hearing that directly from you is just, for the entrepreneurs out there listening, that is powerful advice. And also, even as an owner, I feel that a lot of, like, say, family companies where, say, the dad started the business.
Yep.
I spoke to a gentleman yesterday who wants to take over the family business.
Yep.
And he said, well, I don't think I've spent enough time in the field. I really don't think I know the trade enough. And that's just a misconception. I think that if you understand people,
right,
and you can grow people,
correct,
then you can grow your business. I think there's a direct correlation from building your culture, which is your people, creating clear frameworks, and then getting people to buy into the vision. Yeah. Before you came in, I did a solo episode on vision. And really that, I feel, is the most important thing, is the vision that you set for the company, making sure that everybody on your team understands and feels like they're playing a part in it. So, you know what I mean? There's like not to say full profit share, but them feeling like the work that they're doing is accelerating and moving the mission forward.
Yeah.
That is absolutely critical. So huge insights there.
Yeah, I think that, I think there's something to said about like bringing them in and giving them the transparency and the understanding that what they are doing is very meaningful to not just to make a lot of money for the owner, but meaningful in terms of like a mission to like, hey, like we want to raise the bar. You're working at a company and you're giving your time in exchange for money. We know that, but also you're helping raise the bar in this industry and you're helping be setting the company up to have a reputation that you could be proud of saying, hey, I'm going to wear a Fortera Fencing shirt at Publix on the weekends.
Yes, sir.
I'm not trying to hide from, oh man, my company has kind of a bad reputation. I really don't want to put the brand on when I'm like in my own personal time because like I don't want someone to come yell at me.
Yeah.
Hey, you screwed me over on that job, tell your owners that they stink, whatever. But I think there's something to be said about people are they want to be part of something bigger than themselves that is meaningful and impactful and has a positive influence on their community. These are local businesses for the most part. Obviously for Fortera, right, we're going to expand into other markets, but each market is local and those people that are working there, they are part of their community. And like at the end of the day, like there is something to be said about, being very prideful and just a feel good about where you work. Like the money is one thing and like you want to take care of your people, but like there's also something to be said about just really in the community working for a company and making an impact in that company that has a great reputation. And that's like really where I think a lot of guys miss the boat. They're just so transactional and short-sighted about, I need to go get this next job to produce X amount of revenue, to pay the payroll and all those kind of things. But typically all those things naturally will come in place if you got people that are really excited about showing up every day and they're part of the positive mission that you're trying to accomplish. The revenue and the profit usually takes care of itself.
Well said, man. Well said. And I followed a very similar playbook at Cohen Outdoor. I mean, I really looked at it that we weren't in the landscape business. We were in the people business.
Yeah.
And when you have a mission and a purpose to impact people's lives, and that was inside of the organization and outside of the organization.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, in town know the work that we used to do with nonprofits and same with you guys. When you show up in your community and the team members that are on your team realize that they're not just working at a company that does roofing or fencing or landscaping, that they're working at a company that actually cares about the people in the organization and that they're giving back to the teams with training, with newer equipment, and you're investing in them. You're investing in their skills. You're investing in the top of the line equipment, whether that be software, and you're incentivizing them as well.
Yeah.
And I heard this the other day. It was really powerful, and I was doing it and I really didn't notice it. But we used to incentivize based on our core values. So instead of rewarding performance based on dollars and cents, we would have like the culture being good. If someone called in the office and said, "Hey, your guys were so polite," we would go get that guy a gift card and call him out in front of the. We did a monthly breakfast. It was a way for us to just recognize our team once a month.
Yeah.
And we would have the cleanest truck award. We would have the positive attitude award.
Yeah.
And so like we were giving these team members stars on a board for
culture related things, right?
Culture related things that are building the core values of the business, which ours were integrity, relationships, accountability. And I think every company owner out there, if you don't have 3 to 6 main core values that you're hiring by, you're firing by, that are tied to your mission, that are tied to your purpose, and you're incentivizing and acknowledging your team for exuding those values, that's where a lot of company owners miss the boat. Yeah. So, share with us, we talked about vision. Me and you sat down and talked about Fortera. I got to say it right. Fortera.
Yeah.
And I was blown away by how clear your vision is for your for this company.
Yeah.
So could you share a little bit about that and
absolutely,
just tell us where you're going and kind of how we're going to get there, because I think it's powerful.
I think let's go back to kind of the Reliant Roofing days, right? So our vision there was we were going to be a large fish in one market, right? So we were going to dominate Northeast Florida. That was kind of the vision with Reliant Roofing. It was a very fragmented market in the roofing world here in Northeast Florida. There was 800 licensed roofing contractors. Not a single guy, going back to 2015, not a single contractor had more than like 2% market share, which is a good opportunity for an entrepreneur to jump into a market like that. And most home service markets are like that, where there's just not a lot of, concentration of dominant players. It's very fragmented. So we saw an opportunity there to just be a large fish in a smaller pond and kind of just dominate Northeast Florida. That had a lot of pros, but it had some downside to it. One, the biggest downside from that we took away and kind of learned from and now implementing at Fortera is that you're kind of market dependent on what the market can deliver. In Northeast Florida, it's a middle income market for the most part. There is some affluent areas, but it's not dominated by an affluent market, affluent demographic, and that's okay. We like to serve everyone everywhere, but in terms of just going to market as a very high level customer experience, bigger overhead because we have more personnel that can solve more pain points and smooth out and improve on a lot of these things that we see other contractors not able to accomplish in their customer journey because they don't have enough personnel to do it. It takes some more overhead, and it takes a different, we got to be able to sell a little bit higher maybe than our competitors, but we're going to put out a better product. We're going to stand behind it with a lifetime warranty, all those kind of things. So fast forward to Fortera, kind of the goal here is we want to be in more markets because some of the markets I think are a better ideal fit for what we're trying to develop at Fortera with that customer experience and trying to make sure that people get the full customer experience that we're selling on the front end, right? So with Fortera, it's going to be 25 locations across the Southeast.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah. On average, we're hopeful to do about $5 million per location. So $125 million revenue business, hopefully at a 15 to 20% EBITDA margin or a bottom line margin, and then be able to hopefully make another exit. With this go around, unlike our first go around, we're giving equity to our core personnel, which is exciting to be able to do. Just trying to really have that buy-in that we had at Reliant, but be able to match it with, hey, you're going to buy into the business, we're going to give you some equity, right? So hopefully be able to create some value for our initial employees, key level employees for us when we do go for an exit, and hopefully in 6 to 8 years we're going to be making that exit again. So it's really exciting to think about changing and improving, right? Like my partner Cam talks about all the time, like if you're not improving, you're dying, basically. Yeah. So the continual improvement from like V1 of like our first exit at Reliant versus what we're going to go for at Fortera, like we learned a lot going through that first thing, that first transaction, just like you did, right? And we're able to implement some of that stuff now at Fortera of like things that we learned, like who you're going to sell your business to is very important, especially if you're rolling equity and you're going to be a partner in it still, right? So like a lot of those things are top of mind as we're developing, and the multi-location business is going to be really exciting for us because we're going to be able to enter some new markets that we vacation in and we really love to go to and that are exciting for us to like, hey, we would love to have a footprint in this market. We don't live there, but we're going to go work there now. So that's really new for us and it's going to be a fun challenge, but we're really excited about what the future is going to hold for us. So.
Dude, and I have no doubt in my mind that this vision for your company will happen. And, going back to Reliant, I don't know, just for the listeners out there, I mean, that was a 28 million?
25 million.
25 to 20, so, we're not talking small businesses here. Like, we have the sizable, scalable company of 25 million in one market.
Yeah.
Learning those lessons on leadership, learning the lessons, and you learn so much from your mistakes, of course.
Yeah.
And your first go around, we all make a lot of mistakes as entrepreneurs.
Oh, yeah.
But what really impressed me when we sat down and talked about the clarity and the vision for your company was, you know exactly how many locations, you know how much revenue each location should bring in.
Right.
Certainly we have overhead mapped out for that, clarity on your net and EBITDA margins.
Yep.
You're already thinking about potential buyers from day one.
Right.
So the biggest lesson here for the entrepreneurs listening to this is begin with the end in mind.
Correct.
And it goes right back to the clarity and the vision. And that's why I think that is one of the most important parts of business ownership, because if you don't have a chart, if you don't have a course to chart, then how are you going to get to your end destination?
Right.
If you just started this business and said, I want to be a $100 million company, I don't know how we're going to get there, but we're just going to work really hard.
Right.
Like the odds of you actually doing that, it's not going to happen, bro.
Yeah.
And so many entrepreneurs out there, especially in the service-based business, we're talking plumbers, electrical, heating and air, they have the skilled employees, but the owner doesn't have a clear vision of exactly where they want to go. Do they want to sell it? Who would be a good partner?
Yep.
And I just think that's one of the biggest failures is not having the end in mind.
Yeah.
And to listen to your clarity of that vision, it just gives me 100% certainty that, bro, you guys are going to get there and it's just going to happen. And I'm excited to see it, man.
I appreciate it.
It's going to be an incredible journey. Yeah. All right, so let's dive back into that period after you exited Reliant and you got into the M&A world and we're really just giving back to service company owners and educating them and helping them find good partners and just share a little bit of insights for the audience on things that you learned in that journey with working with owners and helping them find successful partners. So share a little bit of insights on that for me.
Yeah, so we came out of Reliant. That was 2021. We had 125 employees. It was just fully involved business, a lot of human capital there, which was great. Loved the people, but also came with some, just the stressors of managing 125 people. So came out of that looking for something that was maybe a little bit less human capital intensive business and saw an opportunity in the sell side M&A space. And sell side is where I'm representing the seller, representing the contractor, being an advocate for the contractor more than anything, where we went through our own exit, had a liquidity event, all went well there, got with a private equity group that maybe wasn't the best private equity group that we could have found, learned a lot of things going through that process. So we started an advisory company where we were just focused on home service contractors, and more specifically, really, I was just focused on roofing contractors because it's the space I know. I knew the buyer landscape pretty well. I knew the buyers to sell to, the buyers not to sell to, and just going through the process, there's just a lot of one-time events that you just never experience until you're in the middle of a transaction, right?
Amen.
So I think we learned a lot through our own process, and I just wanted to give back to the industry because I was talking to a lot of contractors, and they were using business brokers that just didn't have a lot of experience, and they just didn't know what they didn't know either about representing a company in our trade. And they could get taken advantage of pretty quickly by private equity groups that are very sophisticated, that have a lot of people on their deal team, and you might only have your one business broker and you running point on a deal against 20 people, even though they want to be your partner. They're also trying to get the best deal they can for themselves. So I saw a lot there. We started the company 2022, did a few deals a year, but really I talked to, probably 100 contractors a year, right? So I saw a lot of different business models, their pitfalls, kind of where I think I could help them. Most of the time they just weren't ready to go to market, but I would have a lot of kind of consultative conversation with them of like, hey, I think you could be doing this better. I think you could be doing that better. But one thing that I think goes back to exactly the pain point that you're going to be solving for in your business is a lot of times the owner-operator just doesn't have enough time. Like they just are so busy in their business, like in it every single day. They're waking up, they're dealing with that angry customer in the morning, and they're trying to solve what is on today's agenda. And most guys are in that size company where they are just wearing all the hats and they're heavily involved in the business. They want to work on the business. They just don't have the time or capacity or the vision to do that, right? And that's where it's amazing to see you filling in that gap, right? Where, I know we've talked about it offline, but not only just the roadmap of the vision, but the actual giving a contractor the vision and then giving them the roadmap of breaking it down into bite-sized pieces, right? And that's something that I think a lot of guys don't solve for, and it's awesome to see you being able to do that. And I know that when guys link up with you, you're going to be able to give them really, really actionable items more than anything, and not just telling them a bunch of things and sending them out into the wind, right?
Yeah.
So
dude, no. And I have this saying that the world is full of information and motivation, but it's nothing without the application. So,
100%.
I was guilty of that. I brought in a consulting group when I was around 5 million. And what I didn't realize is I actually had to take a step back and restructure and build the foundation and set the KPIs and set the vision and get real clear on what was going to build enterprise value. And I think a powerful conversation here is there's a difference between top line revenue and enterprise value.
Right.
And I think a lot of owners assume that top line revenue has a direct correlation to their enterprise value. Yep. And as an advisor, I can assure you that you would say that is not true. So, for all the service company owners out there who think that just because they're doing 10 million, that their business is worth dollar for dollar. My business is worth $10 million because we're doing $10 million in sales. I can tell you that is not true.
Yeah.
And also, most owners are the bottleneck, but they don't see themselves as the bottleneck because they're not at 30,000 feet.
Correct.
They are in the trenches, but they don't know it. They're doing things that aren't in their sphere of influence.
Right.
And one thing that I've had conversations with my clients is really helping them understand, what is your superpower?
Right.
I think that's a question that as an advisor or a consultant, to go into someone's operation and look at each key employee and find out what they're really good at and what they're passionate about, and then trying to build their roles and responsibilities around their talents. And that's easier said than done. It's much harder, than it sounds.
Right.
Because employees get so used to doing things over time.
Yeah.
When you try to make change in an organization, that there's always going to be kickback.
Right.
But I think if you can approach someone and say, you're much better customer facing than back office facing, we're going to take these administrative tasks off your plate and give them to Susie, and now you're going to spend more time with the customer.
Right.
And that was a transition that we did when I brought in our consultants. Was any account manager position, we, instead of having them have to do all of the tasks that were on their plate for managing the customer, we built systems and processes that would take some of the administrative work, or we just tried to automate that with software.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So
right.
How can we build kits? How can we build systems that if you're going out to bid a job, you have trending history, you know exactly what it takes. Pre-build those tickets in your CRM, so that way if that account manager goes out to sell this work, he doesn't have to spend 2 hours in the office doing estimates at the end of the day. He can spend that 2 hours out with the client, bringing value and selling more work and things of that nature. So really, really, truly powerful. What would you say is one thing that builds enterprise value that most owners don't know? Like, what would you say is something that was just missed? What was a misconception in the M&A world of, is it reoccurring revenue for service work? Is it,
I think I think the biggest miss that I see 95% of contractors miss at the lower middle market size is financial clarity more than anything.
Boom.
So not only the numbers themselves being clear, but when you have clear bookkeeping practices, trying to be GAAP compliant, it gives a lot more confidence to the buyer to pay a premium for your business. Like outside of just X's and O's, you have $1 million in EBITDA versus another guy having $2 million in EBITDA. If your million is super clean, you're going to get a higher multiple for that business versus the $2 million company that has sloppy books. It's really hard to figure out how they got to that $2 million. Is it replicatable year over year? All these questions that a buyer will ask. The buyer then says, there's a lot to unpack here. There's some unknowns here. It's a riskier investment for us. We're putting other people's money, right? Private equity is raising other people's money to go deploy to buy these small businesses. It's riskier. We're going to pay less for it, just from a multiple standpoint. So financial clarity was always the biggest issue to overcome. Secondly, that you help solve is owner dependence. I mean, most businesses are, as much as they say, I'm not in the business, Sean. I'm there 5 hours a week. And then it's like, well, how come I can't get anything from your team in terms of the financials or any documents? Like, if you're so independent from the company, how come your team has no access to any of these things? So you are really involved in the business day to day. You might not be going into the office day to day, but you're heavily involved in it. And no decisions happen without your stamp of approval on it, which to a buyer is just a key man risk, right? Like, as soon as we give this guy a big check for his business, he's going to take a step back and he's super dependent in the business. Like the business still counts on him. What does that leave us with? So those are the two. You solve those two things, you have a very, very good opportunity to sell to a high quality company at a high multiple in a quick fashion, right? Like there's only so many quality companies in the trades. And I think obviously, that a lot of guys just don't realize that it's that simple. They just need someone to help them, give them the vision, give them the roadmap again to kind of guide them through that journey. And there's just a lot of things that you can reverse engineer into as an owner and chip away at it, right? Like this is not a let's rip the Band-Aid off and solve all these pain points all at one time. It's like, hey, let's make really focused efforts this quarter to knock these three things off the list. And in 18 months from now, you're going to be exactly the company that we want you to be and that you want to be for that next journey, whether it's an exit or whether it's, bringing in some outside investment or whatever it might be, expanding to a new market, all those things. It's just really trying to take it into bite-sized pieces because, again, the amount of available time is finite. And that's the most valuable thing we all have is just the time to accomplish these things. So having someone like you in their corner, it's invaluable because you're going to be able to see 4 steps ahead and say, hey, contractor, I think that, in 2 quarters from now, you want to get to 3 markets, you're only in 1 market. The only way to do it is today. We have to chip away at this. So next month, we chip away at that, so on and so forth, and kind of just be there to really guide the ship forward. Most of the guys that we talk to, they want to do it. Yeah. Like there's no lack of like motivation to grow their business from middle of the road to a top level market dominant brand. It's just they don't know how to spend the finite amount of time they have to make that goal happen. And you're here to solve that. So that's awesome.
So true. So what you're saying is I have to increase my price because I bring so much value to the table.
Correct.
There you go.
Correct.
No, and I'm going to go back to one word that I heard in that was risk. And I'm going to share a story. So I was on the phone with our CEO, the CEO of the company who acquired our business. And I just love picking his brain because he's one of the sharpest minds in business that has had the pleasure of being mentored from. Yeah. And I asked him, as I embark on this journey in coaching other entrepreneurs, what's the one key factor that kills most deals? Mm-hmm. And he said risk.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, everything that we do is to mitigate risk.
100%.
And what you had mentioned, it's like that can go in a lot of buckets. Is the financial clarity? If you don't have that clarity of your financials, that's a risk because there's unknown. If let's say there's undocumented workers who haven't done I-9s or they haven't been through E-Verify.
Right.
Ding, ding, ding. Risk.
Right.
So everything that the equity group is looking at is they're trying to find risk.
Yeah.
And if you understand what the buyer what their biggest risks are, then you as the coach and the contractor, we can work on making the needed adjustments to eliminate that risk.
1,000%.
And I heard this, which was really, really cool, is data is the new currency.
Oh, yeah.
And just the way that's said, I mean, it's a powerful thing. So, like, everybody listening, write that down. That'll be something you need to remember. Is data is the new currency. And I think the other side of this is if you don't have the financial clarity, meaning daily reporting, weekly meetings, knowing where you're going, you're looking at a trailing P&L. A trailing P&L is history. You can't change the past. You can't go back in time and go, hey, guys, we lost money in July. Let's do better next month.
Yeah.
No, you have to be reporting and forecasting. So I think that the biggest challenge that most small business owners in that middle market face is having the right bookkeeping and financial reporting where they're getting daily information put into a scorecard or a dashboard, and you're running your business with data that's current versus data that's 30 days old, because the only way you can adjust on the fly is to meet every week and look at the actual versus budget.
Right.
So it's like we sold our time. That is educating the team on. We sell our customers your time. You have to have this allotted amount of time for each project. And then job costing, we talked about, prior to jumping online, was knowing exactly how to control your labor and then forecasting ahead and tracking that every week. And that way, if your labor budget for the month, let's say you're mid-month, you're July 15th, and we've got 15 more days. If you sit down with your production team and say, hey, we're 100 hours over budget this month.
Right.
We're going to lay an egg if we don't get this under control.
Yeah.
So you better get with your team and understand you better find some operational efficiencies, or you better make some adjustments to your schedule, or you have to get that granular with running your business, and it has to be forward thinking, not trailing. So huge insights, man, on that. I mean, I think, so to really just kind of pinpoint it is financial clarity, owner independence, and, at the end of the day, it's knowing the risk.
Yeah.
And if you can pinpoint those three areas in your business and then do some educating on what the buyer is looking for, you can re-engineer the plan, man. And you can set the bar in your market because there's a buyer out there who wants your market.
There's a ton of buyers.
There's
way more than one. There's a ton right now looking for quality home service companies for sure.
And when you have those three things in line, you're automatically at the top of the list. Not to say you can set your price, but you're going to,
you're going to attract the best buyers too.
You're going to attract the best partner, and you're going to attract the right deal. Because with risk, there's going to be huge earnouts, or there's just so many different things that go along with a transaction that owners don't have enough education on, and they just make a lot of assumptions. So let's talk about leadership for a minute. Now, what would you say is the biggest lesson in leadership that you've learned over the course of your career? Let's say, what are two things that you're not going to do? What are two hard lessons that you learned that were just like a punch in the face that you're like, I'm so glad I learned that lesson. I'll never do that shit again. And then what are 2 things that you learned that were super valuable that you know you're going to always do going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the rearview mirror, right, like, again, come back to like self-realization and continual improvement. So like really digesting like decisions that you make and then trying to understand, was that a good decision or a bad decision in the rearview mirror? Like in the moment, everything sounds like a great idea or else you wouldn't be doing it. I think looking back was making sure that we are aligning ourselves to take on the business that we actually want to take on, not that is coming to us. Because sometimes work comes to you from clients that right away you're like, we don't align well with this client, whether it's a B2B scenario and it's a contractor and I'm working in a subcontractor capacity for said general contractor. And you could tell right away at the first conversation, like they're going to treat me like garbage. They're going to abuse me. They're going to try to take advantage of me. They're going to try to promise me the moon on, we're going to give you all this work, guys, don't worry. And then totally take advantage of you and not really respect you as what you're trying to accomplish to help their bigger goal. They could chew up a lot of your time. And you only have so much time to take on so much work. You only have so much capacity and labor and sales guys. So I think one of the lessons learned that we're doing at Fortera now that we learned through the trenches at Reliant was trying to attract and then only take on the work that we feel is a good fit for our people. Like at the end of the day, we don't want our people to be super stressed out because we're forcing them to be in business with this contractor or this whatever it might be. So really trying to attract the right clients and only do work with those clients that I think really respect and emulate like the culture and the principles and the core values that we're trying to establish. That was definitely a big learning lesson at Reliant. We took on a lot of work that looking back, we just shouldn't have taken on. We got through it, but there was way too much stress for the reward, and our people are more important than anything, and stressing out our people and them not being happy showing up every day because they know that they're going to have to go deal with this relationship. That got a little painful. I think things that we will do moving forward is just, again, like core focus is on how do we deliver the best experience possible? How do we like get so granular in every single step, every piece of communication, every interaction with anyone that we're going to do business with, or anyone that's going to refer us business, or anyone that we're going to go try to attract to hire in our company? Like, how do we make their lives the most improved by dealing with us that we possibly can? Like at the end of the day, we're selling a commodity. There's a million different guys that can install a fence. That is an assumed thing that we're going to install that fence well, but it's how you get to that fence installation and the experience that someone gets with you that makes all the difference. And like, how do we continually focus on that? And that is what we're always top of mind thinking about in everything that we do at Fortera. And that's everything that we ever worried about at Reliant was, how do we just go above and beyond the call of duty where they were so happy with us that they would want to hire us for everything in their lives? And if you just keep that in focus and your employees embrace that, it makes the employees really excited because they want to serve people. They want to make people happy. It makes them feel good.
Yeah.
If you find the right people and they're making people feel happy, that is like such a big win-win for all parties involved. So like that is still our core focus. It's always been our core focus. Everything else is secondary to that.
I love that, man. And I think it really goes back to your purpose of impact, to where if you know your core client and you understand that not all revenue is good revenue.
Right.
And that story hit home for me because we started to step into unknown territory at Cohen Outdoor, and we started to get out over our skis. You know, so like you can get these dangled carrots.
Oh yeah. Big time.
And at the time you think that it's great because of the dollar value.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, I did a project in Orlando. It was the Sunrail train stations.
Cool.
And huge government job. Well, I didn't read the 200 and something page contract.
Yeah.
And that job almost put me out of business.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We lost hundreds of thousands of dollars on that project due to price inflation of trees because the job was delayed like a year.
Yep.
And then when the job broke ground, the tree prices had went up like 30-40%, and there was hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of trees. So do the math. Boom, that was it. We were done from the jump.
Yep.
And there was no clause in there for accelerated scheduling.
Oh yeah.
And they forced me to do all 4 stations at one time versus a phased schedule. So they said, "Hey, there's 4 of these.
Go knock them out."
No, knock them out. I need 10.
Good luck.
I need 10 to 15 employees at each. I didn't plan on that. I didn't budget for that. So, just understanding that not every client is a good client is awesome advice for the generations up and coming in the service-based business, because I think especially the young, hungry entrepreneur, they chase the dollar. It goes back to the value. Is that dollar bringing value to your business? And if it's not, don't be afraid to say no. I think that you hear so many like billionaires, right, that say, "Man, when you really made it is when you learn to say no." Yeah. And I think that's a powerful insight there, is just that not every client is meant to be your client.
Oh yeah.
So as we wrap up, is there one final piece of advice for a up and coming entrepreneur in the service business who wants to scale, wants to grow, wants to do it at a rapid pace? Last final key piece of advice that you think is the most helpful.
Yeah, I would say surround yourself with people that are smarter than you and people that have had experience in accomplishing the goals that you're trying to accomplish, whether that's trying to scale to sell or just scaling to scale or whatever it might be, trying to bring in a partner, whatever it might be. Go network, talk to people, go find coaches, go find mentors. There's a lot of really smart minds out there that really are passionate about helping and that really want to deliver value to people. So if you feel like you're all alone and there's, no one understands your pain points of a $5 million painting company, I can guarantee you there's a lot of quality people out there. You just got to put it out there into the world that, hey, I'm looking for advice. I'm looking for someone that's been there, done it, that I can have an open and honest conversation with. And I think a lot of people in the trades, they try to fake it till they make it, and they're not really honest with themselves and honest with others about where they're at and where their pain points are. And you really have to be vulnerable, and you really have to go find people that kind of understand, hey man, it's not as bad as you might think it is, or the pain points you're trying to solve can be solved, and just go have those conversations with people, because there are a lot of people out there that are willing to help and have conversations. I talk to guys all the time from all different trades about all different topics, and I don't always have the answers to all of them, but I think any guidance from someone that maybe is a few steps ahead potentially in business, it's got to do more good than harm, right? So that would be my one piece for people, is just go out and expand your sphere of people that you can lean on to help you. Amen,
brother. Well, I'm going to just exude that same advice, because as I embark on this new journey, of course, I've reached out to John Gordon, Bedros Keuilian, and I'm putting myself in proximity to some of the world's best coaches.
Oh, yeah.
And the world's best leadership trainers. And my proximity to those mentors is sharpening my skill sets in how I can, in turn, help my clients improve and help me find those holes and gaps that we need to fill.
Yep.
And eating that slice of humble pie is the most service company owners especially are prideful, because it's their baby.
Oh yeah.
It's, you've built it from scratch, you're 10 years in, and you just have so much pride in the work that you've put in that sometimes you just have to look yourself in the mirror and say, I don't have what it takes. I got us here, but I can't take us there.
Yeah.
Man, super awesome conversation today,
yes,
Sean.
Yes,
this
sir.
has been absolute just nugget after nugget after nugget of advice. if you want more insights like this, like our show, subscribe to the show. We're going to be bringing you some world-class leaders, and it is going to be powerful conversations week after week after week. Sean, thank you again for joining us,
Appreciate
my
you
man.
having me,
and
brother.
I'm excited to see where the future holds.
Thanks, man.
See you next time. Peace.